Hello and good afternoon, morning, night, evening, noon. I don't know, whenever you're listening to this, and welcome back to another incredible and exciting episode of Shut Up and Enjoy. I'm your
Sir.
host this week, The Sound of Silence, joined by my wonderful co-host, Spotlight Donnie. And this week we are going to be discussing Marvel's newest series, Echo. This was one that I was pleasantly surprised at. I
Yeah.
had no expectations going into it. I knew nothing about the character. Yeah, but before we actually really get into my review, I will turn it over as usual to Spotlight Donnie to give us a recap of at least episode one.
Yeah. So what we'll do is, since this is the entire season boiled down, it was all released in one go at it by Marvel under their new Spotlight banner, which is why we have the Spotlight Donnie going here. 5 episodes, and we're going to break them down each one. And I'm going to go ahead and give you the synopsis for episode one, which was named Kafa. A flashback reveals the origins of the Choctaws, with Chafa emerging as a human from under the earth. In 2007, Maya Lopez is in a car accident with her mother Taloa after criminals cut their car's brakes. After losing both her leg and her mother in the accident, she moves from Tamaha, Oklahoma to New York City with her father William, whom Maya's grandmother Chula blames for the death of her daughter. William becomes a commander of the Tracksuit Mafia, while his employer, Wilson Fisk, becomes Maya's adoptive uncle. Years later, Maya witnesses Clint Barton assault the Tracksuit Mafia and kill William. Fisk arranges for Maya to work under him, promising to find William's killer. During a mission for Fisk, Maya is attacked by Daredevil. In 2000, in December 2024, Maya encounters Barton, and after learning Fisk arranged William's death by tipping off Barton, avenges her father by shooting Fisk in the eye. 5 months later, Maya returns to Tamaha and meets with her cousin Biscuits and her uncle Henry. She convinces him to not let anyone else know of her presence. Maya asks Henry to help her dismantle Fisk's operations so she can take over his empire, but Henry refuses, not wanting to endanger his family. Elsewhere, Fisk, who had survived, recovers from his injury in a hospital. Episode one.
There were a lot of flashbacks, a lot of
Yes,
refreshing from other series.
yes.
There was a lot.
I'm glad that they did that, and it wasn't overbearing when they did it. It was well placed. It was put into the episode and weaved into the episode to bring us from essentially from our childhood all the way up to the present. And we got a little bit of the information, a little bit that we saw in the Hawkeye series, but it didn't do a whole refresh of the entire series. It was just her portion of the series. All the information we needed from that for this, we got it in that tight little chunk, and then we were able to move on from that. We didn't have to keep going back to
Yeah. It it also it also very quickly reminded us of her motivations.
it. Yes.
Because when we met her, she was kind of at the end of her tracksuit days, but
Yep.
in the beginning of her being Echo.
Hmm.
Um, First and foremost, love Vincent D'Onofrio back.
He's the best. He
He
is the best.
Beautiful casting. Beautiful casting. Uh,
Yes.
but that's for episode two or three when he's actually back, or four or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but for this episode, it was really cool. I thought you're right. The way that they gave us all of that, like 5 minutes of lead up, they did that very well, and they didn't linger on constantly going back to it. It was just the key clips that we needed, the quick scenes with Clint Barton, the pulling a gun on Fisk and shooting him, the cut the brakes. We now know that Chula's pissed at her dad and all that stuff. And um, yeah, so we got that, and we got that character intro and character dynamics. So when she got back to Oklahoma, we knew it was going to be rocky.
Yeah, we knew some shit was gonna go down. What I really liked, of course, was the fight scene. Now, we were given a good deal of that fight scene, and a lot of the marketing leading up to the show. Didn't quite know where it would be in the show. Good to see that it was right there in the first episode. I got a true holy shit moment when we're going through, we're getting the fighting. It's all the single one take camera thing that I absolutely adore with all my heart. And the camera turns and Daredevil's in it.
I lost my shit.
Audibly said, "Holy shit!"
Yep.
Now, the funny thing is, I was watching the show with my wife, and she had no idea what the hell was going on really. So when I said that, and I'm all bust out, and she's just looking at me like, "Okay, I married a weirdo," and I'm thinking that, but you already
She
knew.
just figuring that out now?
Yeah, how about that?
Homegirl.
I pulled the wool over her eyes. You see?
You manipulative bitch.
Yes.
But even then, like he had like one line, and it was like, "I've been watching these people for days, and you destroyed everything in a minute." It's like,
Yes.
well, yeah,
And then let's get to it. Let's get to fight. And it was good to see. It looked like a little bit at the beginning. He was kind of like toying with her, playing with it, just to trying to see, okay, what do we have going on here? She was definitely holding her own with that, um, which is cool because even Kingpin made a mention of like, hey,
no
you
one
gotta
else.
get better than half these dudes around here. So that was a really good scene. I think it was 5 or 6 minutes long of a single take. And of course, we know that there's way to make edits and changes once something goes in front of the camera. That's an edit part. But
Yeah,
I love single takes shots, and I could watch that show.
they do that very well with these shows.
Yes, they do.
Um, the Daredevil hallway scene to the
Mm,
like that's just almost Daredevil's MO at this point. Just
yes,
single take
yes,
uh fight scenes, which I'm here for.
yes, all
Um,
day.
I also liked in that fight scene that must have been one of the first times she killed someone.
I think yes.
She had him in the hold, and she's like, "Come on, give," like
Yeah.
not wanting to kill, and then you see it like come across her face, like, "All right, I gotta do this." And
You're done, my friend. You're done.
get out, get out.
I like how they also played with the sound in that. So we just get, we don't have any peripheral sounds. We just get the sound of her heartbeat, which is kind of like put us in
Yeah,
her world, which was just so good.
that was something very well done of how they really brought the audience into the world of someone who has a hearing impairment.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
and all the sign language and everything, that was really cool.
Beautiful.
There's probably gonna be an uptick in people who take ASL classes.
Yeah, which is not a bad thing. My wife and son have both taken those classes. Actually, my wife was she was that was one of her majors. She changed a lot. That was one of her majors at one point. So that was the original reason why she got into watching the shows. Typically, when Marvel things come around, it's just me and the boys. But with this one, she was all in from the beginning once she
Yep.
found out what the character was. So that's it's good, and then that's a good way of expanding this, not only this series, but the MCU as it were, because now she's more interested in the MCU and Marvel and things like that. So thank you, Echo.
Yes. Yes. So leaving New York after she shoots Kingpin in the face at the end of Hawkeye. Um, she goes back to her childhood home. Was
Yes,
that, and she kind of
yes,
makes camp there, and then Biscuits and Jack Robinson or something, the dog. Jack,
Billy Jack, I
Billy
think.
Jack, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Billy Jack pull up because sets off like an alarm or something.
Yes.
Um,
Which
that
was the same type of alarm that we saw in the Hawkeye series when Kate Bishop tried to get into our apartment and didn't know what was going on with the light on the wall. Yeah. Yeah. So that was a good little callback.
yeah, definitely. Um, Loved biscuits. Who don't love? I want a pop figure of biscuits.
Absolutely.
I feel like
Absolutely.
that's got to be the next Funko Pop drop biscuits. But yeah, we got a lot in here. There's without going like scene to scene on this because go watch it.
Yeah.
Um, or you probably already have if you're listening to this podcast. Let's be real.
Yeah. Spoiler alert if we didn't let you know that.
Kingpin's not dead. Uh, yeah, this pilot got me interested from the start in the character,
Hmm.
especially with the refreshing of the history that we've already seen within the MCU. Um, After watching What If and seeing the like symbols from Chafta, I was wondering if it was like the same lake or something from Kahori's.
From an episode of Kahori.
Yeah. Or there's some connection there, or if they're going to try to tie something in or what have you. Um, but that kind of right there from the first scene really got me invested. Like, oh, are we just tying all of this in right now? Is
Yeah.
Captain Carter going to show up in like 20 minutes? Like, what's going
That would have been too much. That would have been mind blowing right there.
Yeah, come with me if you want to live. Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. But all altogether a very good first episode. Really gets you into it. So one of the difference with dropping the whole season all at once, where in the past where they've just done, weekly release, weekly drop. Um, it was it kind of took you back to the old Netflix days of the Marvel series where you could binge the whole thing in one sitting if that's what you're into. Sometimes I am. What can I say? Um, so it was good to be able to do that, and then you can just go straight through, and just kind of piece it all together and put it all together as
I have seen some mixed reviews on that,
one.
especially when it comes to like streaming bandwidth, kind of like how they monitor how many views and everything. It get,
Hmm.
um it was lower over the first week, each day was averaged lower because they released it all at once. So people binged it on Wednesday night and then there's nothing on Thursday or Friday or Saturday. Like but I wonder if this is going to be the new thing and if this was just a pilot for them to try it, releasing it all at once, and why they started with this one.
I think if we look at it, the last two releases that they've had, so they did What If, where they released, was it 11 episodes, 10 episodes each day,
Yeah.
and then this one they dropped all at once. So I guess that's two different ideologies with drops with releases, as opposed to what they've done in the past, where it's been a weekly. Sometimes they release two episodes or three episodes to begin, and then come back and do it weekly. So maybe it's just all a test to try to figure out how all of this works, um, or or could they possibly have made this kind of like their spotlight, of course, their spotlight imprint. Will they do more of specialty shows? Like we had the one spotlight, or the what was
Werewolf.
the beast? Yes, Werewolf by Night, where they released it last year, where it was just a movie type show. And perhaps this was also kind of like in that vein. Even though it's a series, it is a special. It's a special presentation. So we'll just drop it all at once.
Why was this considered though a special presentation versus anything different than WandaVision, or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki? Why
With
this and why the spotlight on this?
the answer to that question, we'll probably never know. I'm not sure. It did get the special TVMA, and you had to change your settings on the box to, or not box settings on Disney Plus to make sure that you could actually watch it and stream it. But there was nothing that was overly. There wasn't a lot of cursing. There was some blood, but I don't think it was any more blood than we saw in Falcon and Winter Soldier when U.S. agent went all batshit crazy on a dude with the shield. So I don't think it was that um, big of a deal. But again, we'll never know. This was just their thing. This was their spotlight.
And so was the whole show their spotlight, or was it just the like I'm very curious about the spotlight concept that they're doing. Like, is it a diversity grab that they're trying to highlight these diverse characters, whether it's Native American background, minorities, or handicapped people, a deaf amputee? Like
I
I want to know what their thinking was, because otherwise, if they don't do something like a spotlight with the other shows, and it's okay, well, this was a publicity stunt, Disney.
So I also think that one of the things, and I would have to go back and read exactly, when they did the whole press release of this, is we have this new imprint, and this is the first release from that imprint. If I'm not mistaken, they wanted to highlight characters or events that wouldn't necessarily have an impact on the greater MCU at large. So by that saying, if we never see Echo again, then then it won't matter. We won't come back 2 years from now, 3 years from now, saying, kind of like people say about the thing sticking up from the ocean. How come nobody's ever mentioned it? So we won't come back and say, well, how come nobody's ever mentioned Echo? Because it was a spotlight situation, which does not necessarily have to have an impact on the greater MCU going forward. May have an impact going forward. She may show up in a Midnight Sun. She may show up in a Young Avengers. May show up anywhere. But if she doesn't, then that's fine too. This is its own self-contained thing. Characters from there, Kingpin, of course, will have an impact on the greater MCU. Daredevil, impact on the greater MCU because they are part of it. But this is just a spinoff from it. It doesn't necessarily have to be impactful to the greater MCU. So by that same token, we can't get to Daredevil and the warehouse that they blew up in this show can't be unblown up in Daredevil, because then that's when you get into continuity issues and errors.
Yeah, it's interesting.
What
It's
spoiler alert, something gets blown up. We didn't get to that yet.
episode 2.
Yeah, let's do that. Lowak. In a flashback to Alabama in 1200 AD, Lowak is participating in a game of Choctaw stickball against another tribe. When Lowak's team is close to winning, the opposing side send out a formidable warrior who helps to even the score. Lowak is desperate to avoid exile for her team if they should lose, and receives a vision during an intense melee. With her hands glowing, Loak breaks out of the melee with the ball and secures victory for her tribe. That was the flashback. Present day, Maya enlists Biscuit's help in hijacking a cargo train guarded by Fisk's men. She locates a munitions container and plants a homemade bomb inside one of the crates. As she attempts to get off, her prosthetic leg becomes stuck in a coupling. Maya receives a vision of her ancestor, then manages to push the coupling off of her free leg after her hands begin to glow. The shipment arrives at one of Fisk's armories in New York. Black Knife Cartel leader Zane dispatches men to unload the crate, triggering Maya's bomb, which destroys the facility. Maya later gets a new prosthetic leg from Scully, who reveals that one of the women in Maya's visions was Chafa, the first Choctaw. Henry learns about the munitions explosion and later confronts Maya, warning her to stop these attacks before she ends up hurting people close to her. But she dismisses this. Meanwhile, Trula receives word that Maya is in town, and Bonnie learns of Maya's return and Tomahawk from Biscuits. Maya refuses to interact with either of them. So there is your explosion that I just mentioned.
A family drama. My God,
Lot,
therapy.
lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. I was wondering what she was taking or looking at in the train car,
Mm-hmm.
because all she had was her backpack with some random stuff in it,
Yeah,
the
some knickknacks.
tiny camera, knickknacks, and apparently a bomb.
Yeah.
Um, I was wondering if this was going to be some like Shatari power source or kind of like how we saw with Winston Toombs, um,
Yeah.
Spider-Man, where it's like made a living off of the trading Shatari weaponry and deconstructing and rebuilding um, everything. So I really was curious, and then immediately once it got to the warehouse and the guy walked, I was like, it's
Yeah.
and boom goes the dynamite.
Yes. Yes. The train heist, as it were, that was a really good sequence there. With her getting on the train and then having to go up and over and down and under, and it was a lot going on. It was all action, um, and but this is where, and we're going to talk about this a little later, but glowy hands, glowy hands in superhero media, glowy hands, glowy hands.
Spirally glowy hands.
Ah,
Yeah.
we get it way too much. I won't say every, but just about every series, movie has someone with random glowy hands. And then what does it even mean? Okay, so you had the glowy hands. We saw Loak, when she got her glowy hands, was able to break free and score the winning goal. When Maya gets her glowy hands, she's able to get the coupling off of her leg. What do the glowy hands mean? What kind of power is it? Is it just a is it just getting some getting some help from your ancestors? What exactly is it? How does it work? Why does it work? Is it just when you get in times of peril or times of special needs? What are we doing?
Ask
But
Danny.
what's that? That's that right.
I am the immortal Iron Fist from
I,
Come.
it's it's
He is someone who, if we never see again, I won't be upset.
I mean, of all the rumors that we've been hearing, he's the only one that.
That's fine. We don't.
And if I'm not mistaken, at the end of his series, just to jump off really quick, at the end of his series, didn't he give up his Iron Fist to Colleen? Then he gave it up to Colleen, but then near the end of the show, he was in somewhere. He was somewhere in Asia and had it as well. So I think
Defenders, after the Defenders, he had it through that series though, right?
yes, but his last season, season two of Iron Fist was after. I think so. We can go back and check. We can ask Siri or Bixby.
We might need to do a whole like Netflix Hell's Kitchen series of episodes because I don't remember those
Okay.
at
I guess we are 5 years away from the last when the last episode of the last series on Netflix was over. So yeah, it
Cage.
would. I think it was season three of
Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones. I think that was the last one.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll definitely go back and double check. And definitely, if you all know, drop it in the comments and let us know how wrong or right we are. But anyway, sliding on back to Echo, glowy hands. The train heist and all the action around that was pretty cool. Um, and then of course, Biscuits out there with Chula's truck.
You fucked up, Grandma.
Yeah, he tore it up. He tore it up.
Ancestors are coming for biscuits, and it's not to
No
give
doubt.
him glowy hands.
Oh man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Uh,
I was really wondering because everyone was so happy to see Maya when she got back. I was really curious to see how her and Chula played out.
mhm.
Um,
Well, was everybody happy to see her? I mean, she only from what we see so far, we only know she's only seen Henry and she's only seen Biscuits, and she only saw Biscuits by chance because he was coming to the house. So, and then of course she needed him for shit because Henry wouldn't help her.
yeah, but it was still interesting because, and this is probably later on. Also, we saw who's his face in the store.
Um,
Um,
Scully.
yeah, we saw Scully too, who was happy to see her.
Yes. Okay.
Um, so far, everyone she's now seen in town has been happy to see her, but Chula's not, right?
Chula doesn't know she's there.
Yeah.
Right. So now, if I'm trying to think here. So far she's seen Henry, Biscuits, and Scully,
And Billy Jack.
and Billy Jack. Can't leave Billy Jack out. All men trying to stay away from Bonnie and Chula, the women
Women.
in her life, in her family. I wonder if that is a if I wonder if that was done on purpose.
Let me just call Kevin Feige and ask him.
Yeah, get him on the line.
Give him a quick text.
um, but yeah, so this I guess we'll call this episode the Great Train Heist episode.
The glowy hands heist.
The glowy hands heist. Boom, there it is.
Yeah, literally, boom, there it went.
Trademark that shit.
So, episode 3.
Yes, sir. Tuclo. And a flashback to the late 1800s, Tuclo practices shooting with her father, one of the light horsemen. Despite wanting to be a light horseman, Her father forbids this due to her gender. Tuclo's father rides out to confront some local criminals while Tuclo braids her hair like a Choctaw warrior. She receives a vision of Chafa and Loak, and her hands begin to glow. The criminals ambush Tuclo's father, but she hears the attack and arrives in time to save him and his group. Present day. Scully is visited by Chula, who encourages her to reach out to Maya. Maya receives a sudden vision of Chafa, Loak, and Tuclo and is captured by Henry's employee, Vicky. Vicky is revealed to be in allegiance with Fisk, having tipped off the organization to Maya's location. He holds both Maya and Henry hostage at Henry's bowling alley and captures Bonnie after she shows up to visit Henry. Zane arrives for Maya and betrays and kills Vicky. After a confrontation with Bonnie over her absence, Maya escapes and attacks Zane's enforcers. Zane threatens Bonnie and Henry and holds Maya at gunpoint as he prepares to shoot her and Henry. After receiving a phone call, Zane and his men leave. Maya sends Bonnie away, promising to reconcile with her later. Maya learns from Henry that Fisk is still alive, and Henry promises to help her. Scully gives Maya a new look for her prosthetic. On her way out of town, Maya returns home and is confronted by Fisk. Out of the shadows, he appeared.
My favorite line from that interaction is I wanted to have Sunday dinners like we used to. And she goes, it's Thursday. Just to be the complete, like, rebellious teenager to the
Oh,
father figure.
hold on. That's funny because that's not this episode.
I was wondering, it was 50.
That's the next episode.
Fuck's episode 3, we're going to episode 4. I was wondering in my mind, and I decided to go with it because I figured the irony would at least provide humor.
Oh, I love it. Oh man. So this episode is the one where again we got a lot in the lead up to the show, in the marketing and the trailers and everything. Where it was the fight in the bowling alley where uh, she comes busting through the wall and bashes the guy's head on the ground, which again was great.
Yeah.
The only thing that kind of confused me just a little bit, um, when her and Barney were captured and they were back in the room and they were trying to figure out a way to escape and everything. And the guys come in, and she's there with Bonnie, and she punches Bonnie in the face. And I'm just thinking, okay, where the hell did that come from? Why did that happen? That was just a lot was happening right there, and I didn't quite put it all together as to exactly what was going on.
Yeah.
And then of course, all hell breaks loose and lots of fighting and all sorts of stuff.
Great fight scene. Just watching Echo absolutely go to town on everyone.
Wrecking fools, yes.
Starting with like MacGyvering a slingshot to
Yeah,
take out the lights.
yes,
Oh,
yes. It was like
it's
the nut from the wheel or something.
like a
And
power drill something.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, and talk about the most quintessential white trash henchmen. Sorry, hench people.
Hench people, yes. Because they had no clue on what to do.
Wow. They they accepted that job without asking the follow-up.
Right. No questions asked. I mean, it was probably for something stupid too, like $2,500. Woohoo!
Do it. Woo! In cash under the table? Yeah. Fuck the
Yeah.
IRS. Don't tread on me.
Oh man.
We're not getting political here, I promise. Until the last scene.
Yes. And that it so we know, I hate to get into this stuff, but it bears to talk about just a bit. That we know that there were some issues during the filming of the show, and lots of reshoots and changes. And, some people say that that's actually why it was just dropped all at one time because the studio had no confidence in the show. Some of that stuff is neither here nor there. However, sometimes when you look at some of the things that are happening in the show and the way the scenes are filmed, that last scene when Kingpin showed up and he stepped out of the shadows, that almost seemed like it was not. It seemed like he was not actually there at that point. If you get what I'm saying, it was almost like a green screen
Yeah,
type thing. It was really very oddly, uh, very oddly filmed. Um, but again, that's neither here nor there. It just looked weird.
yeah.
Yeah.
I did pick up on that. It felt forced,
Yes.
like it wasn't. You're right, like it wasn't supposed to be there, and it was almost like a frozen in time juxtaposition of trying to add a dimension into the end of that episode to
Yes.
for whatever reason.
Yeah. It almost seemed like there was no reason to even go back home if her point was to get out of town so that no harm would come to her family, then
Did she have the final leg at that point, the final new prosthesis, or was she still running off of the old one? Because there was the old one, then there was the like
yes,
janky put together one, and then there was the new one that had the Choctaw gold on it.
I can't recall. I can't remember. But that still would give no reason to go back home. If you were on your way out of town,
What if
then
she was
have it
waiting
ready.
for the new prosthesis and she couldn't have left yet because Scully was still making it? So she would have had to stay another night. That's what I'm saying. The justification would have been for her to hang
For
around
going home.
night.
All right, I'll give you that. I'll give you
I
that.
I don't know if she had it yet. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before in this episode. Was it last episode or is it next episode that I was wrong? I don't know. We'll figure it.
Yeah, 3 episodes ago, we were wrong. We're all wrong.
Loki, can you help straighten my timeline out?
Oh man.
Uh, but yeah, the fight choreography with this show is just absolutely unbelievable. It is dark and gritty and hands-on, and you feel like you're in the trenches versus something like even part of like watching some of the bigger um phase one to even through phase four, like some of those scenes, like I'm watching a cinematic movie. And like you can see the superhero like choreography in it versus this one's like you're in the fucking trenches and your hands are just as dirty as Echo's and everyone is there just getting pounded on.
Yeah. Yeah. Really good stuff. We need more of it.
It's so dark. What is this, the DC universe?
Oh man. Let's go to episode 4 because you were itching to get to this episode.
Just the one line.
Taloa. In 2008, a young Maya is verbally abused by an ice cream vendor who fails to understand her request for ice cream. An enraged Fisk retaliates by brutally attacking the vendor. Although Maya witnesses this, she shows no fear or any sympathy towards the vendor. Several years later, Maya is about to begin working for Fisk when he offers a final lesson. They can only trust one another. While they finish their shared dinner, Fisk's ASL translator is dismissed and soon killed.
Pew, 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 pew.
Present day. Fisk gives Maya an augmented reality contact lens so that they can communicate without an ASL interpreter. Fisk tells her that he will give her his criminal empire if she agrees to return with him to New York, giving her 1 day to decide. Maya shares this with Henry, but receives an abrupt vision of her ancestors. At the Choctaw Powwow Festival grounds, Chula receives the same vision. Henry takes Maya to see Chula, who tells her that their ancestors helped them when they needed most, recounting a vision that she received when giving birth to Maya's mother. Maya leaves in anger, feeling abandoned by Chula as a child. Chula later begins to work on a special garment. That night, Maya goes to Fisk's hotel with the intention of killing him, revealing to her that he killed his father after seeing him beat his mother. Fisk tells her to make good on her threat if that is what she needs, but she rejects this. He repeats his invitation to join her in New York, but is enraged to find out the next morning that Maya has left Tamaha without him. Well, what'd you think?
So I love the line that Maya had when Fisk asked to have dinner again. It was like a rebellious teenager all over again.
One thing I liked about this, again, leading up to the show, we had all the trailers and the promotional things, and we saw what Fisk did to the ice cream vendor.
Yes.
We did not see what came after when Maya, who was told to stay in the car but didn't, came to the alley, saw what was going on, and then she also came over
And started beating on him.
and started beating on the vendor. So that was kind of like our introduction, or that's when that's how we should know that okay, this has not only been going on for some time. This has been going on for since 2008, since she was a very little girl. So her machinations and her thoughts and everything that Fisk has taught her up until now, which we're talking 15, 16 years. If we're supposed to be in 2024, I think Christmas time is when the Hawkeye series was. So that's been a long time that she's been learning and been a
Yeah.
part of this violence and everything. So yeah, she may not be all the best of people.
It's almost a it was almost eminent of did you ever watch the show Dexter?
No.
So there's this whole thing where Dexter's this serial killer played by Michael C. Hall. And growing up, he had those sociopathic behaviors, and his father recognized it and created this code for him to follow, where essentially he only kills assholes, drug dealers, rapists, pedophiles, whatever. Uh,
Yeah.
so it's almost, I got kind of similarities between that, where Maya might have had something in her, and Fisk cultivated and cured and shaped that
Mm-hmm.
as she grew,
Okay.
and almost kind of helped her to develop the code by his standards for his game versus in Dexter, Harry did it for Dexter for his survival and saying you can't ever tell anyone about this because if you do, they won't see you. They'll see you as a monster and they'll put you away,
Gotcha. All
type of
right.
thing. So I did see some similarities. I don't know if that was intentional, but it did. That scene did make me think of it,
Okay.
and I wonder if that was the point when Maya started beating on the guy too, where Fisk was like, "Oh, I can use her, not just as leverage, but I can use her as a weapon as well."
As an enforcer. Yep. Right. Interesting. Very cool. Very cool. I enjoyed seeing the augmented reality contact lenses. I wonder if that is a thing that is possibly in development.
I think there are some out there. One YouTube video I watched, and I think it might have been one of the ones that you sent me, where it was like who bought Avengers Tower,
Mm-hmm.
and the point that they made was like, well, if Fisk bought it, he might have had access to all of Tony's stuff. So is this a Edith Part 2, like 2.0 type of thing? Like, It was an interesting like series of seemingly unrelated threads that came about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting. I would the oh one thing I was just thinking about. So another thing where we start getting into some things that are just a little bit weird as we are watching the show. The if you notice the clothing that Maya, because I guess she's never called Echo at all in the show. It's always Maya Lopez. When she goes to see Chula, that the clothing that she's wearing there is for sure a costume. It's got, it's not regular, it's not jeans and t-shirt. It
It's
is
not
for
off the
sure,
rack. Yeah.
right. It is for sure a costume that, she's got special gloves on and everything. But that was the only scene where she wore that. So it just seems to me like how how did we get that? How did we get that outfit in that scene only for the entirety of the show? That is how. So clearly that almost seemed like that was an original part, an original aspect of the show that wasn't a reshoot or something that was changed. That was an original. Um, and then also, of course, that's when Chula, saw um, uh, the other dress I think she was making for Maya's mom that she ended up uh,
Completing.
finishing up for Maya. So yeah, and then we get into we'll get to the next episode, but then we see her ultimately in that as well, which again was okay. She literally put that costume on to go see Chula because that's the only time
He was
she
prepared for
wore.
battle.
Yeah, that's the only that's the only time we saw her in that particular costume. The rest of the show, it was just the leather jacket um, and jeans. So it was interesting to see how that fit in. Um, but yeah.
I thought it might have been, and this could have been part of the reshoots where often what you'll see is kind of that evolution of the superhero suit throughout the first movie. Like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, he had the hoodie and that stuff before he got the actual Spider-Man suit that he made.
Hmm.
What if they were trying to just pepper that in? But you're right. Now that I think about it, it does seem weird that like that was the only time you saw it, not during the train heist.
Right,
Would have been a great time to see that at first.
right, right. It was just it was incredibly random, and
Or if there's a scene cut where Scully gave it to her after he gave her the leg as well.
right, because she clearly came to town with not much. She was just on the motorcycle,
And like
bleeding out.
stabbed too. Yeah.
Yeah, so she didn't have a lot on her. So it was just it was almost out of place. Um, and that's some of the things that kind of lead into a lot of the criticisms that these shows and Marvel's been getting over the last couple of years. It's just some things are just out of place. We understand that reshoots happen and changes happen, but that was straight up out.
Yeah. Very
And
much.
what are we even talking about? It's a costume, it's clothing, but it just
It is but it's not the first time stuff like this has happened, and it's
Right,
starting to become a little bit more regular.
right, and noticeable,
Yeah,
which is not what you want.
yeah,
You don't want a couple of knucklehead YouTubers seeing this stuff.
yeah. Some amateurs like us
Right.
are calling this, then
You
ye-
got some issues.
yeah. All right, episode final four, five. What are we on?
It's it's episode 5. It's the last one. Oh shoot! Before we get to that, real quick, why exactly did she go to the hotel to kill Fisk? And how come Fisk doesn't have like really, really high security?
Because Maya's the only one there that would make that has the balls to make a move on him, and he's betting that Maya won't. I mean, look at Henry. He's terrified of Fisk. He doesn't want a war. He doesn't want to poke that lion.
Sure, but clearly they can go and find Vinny and the Jets to go and try something. You can get a knucklehead and 2 women to do anything. They can kidnap people. They can set them up for murder, but not really. That's all right. We'll go to episode 5. Maya. In a flashback to our childhood, Maya hits a woodpecker with a slingshot. Taloa reprimands Maya for hurting an innocent
Oh,
life.
wait, hold on.
Yeah.
She had the meeting. We should probably talk a little bit about the meeting with Chula,
Okay, let's do it.
where Maya actually figures out that it's the ancestors coming back.
Yes. Yes.
And Chula also mentions the pregnancy with Maya's mother,
That was difficult, and she had to.
and like modern medicine couldn't do anything, and against doctors' wishes, and it was the ancestors that reached out. And there was one point where it looked like I thought it was this scene where she almost looked through time and saw uh the white horseman. What's her name? Right? Like, because when she was braiding her hair, she looked down and almost saw through time when the ripples of the lake, and then Chula looking up in her days of the pregnancy also saw it looked like it was like a feedback loop through time.
Yeah, so Tuklo, Lowak, and Kafa
Yeah,
saw all of them. So those visions came to everyone. So those are the same visions that Maya got. Each 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 successive
generation.
each successive generation saw the previous
Yes.
in their visions. So this is kind of what. So by them having that conversation, they were able to figure some things out and perhaps how it would work as we go into the next um, episode. But she did say that that conversation was exhausting.
It was I did also like how they didn't completely make up at the end of it.
Right, right.
She got context, but they both still like dug their heels. I was like, nah, no,
Yeah,
no, we're still not good.
yeah. Which is a true life thing. That's how it would
Absolutely.
be in life. So
Well, it made it more real where it's like,
yes,
no, family shit like that isn't over and done with one conversation. It takes
right,
time. It takes rebuilding of trust again.
right. Because Maya thought that Chula did
Did
not care for her, did not want her, did not, you know, want to be a part of her life. And again, we're talking, that's 15, 16 years of someone thinking that
that's a
is
lot
it ain't
of unpacking to do.
yeah, it ain't gonna be over in a 5 minute, oh no, what you thought ain't true type thing.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was exhausting.
it was good to see. But one thing I thought that we haven't even mentioned at all, that the family even though Maya was gone all that time, the family still kept up with their ASL and knowing, hey, eventually I'm gonna need to know this so that I'll be able to communicate with her when she comes back, or if I go see her or what have you. So I thought that was also a beautiful thing, not just giving up on it. Oh well, she's gone now, so I don't have to do that
She gone.
anymore. All right. Where the hell were we? Oh, episode 5, Maya. And a flashback to our childhood, Maya hits a woodpecker with a slingshot. Taloa reprimands Maya for hurting an innocent life, and with her hands glowing, heals the woodpecker. Later, the two release it back into the wild. Present day. Biscuits messages Maya that Chula and Barney are missing, and she returns to Tamaha. She quickly visits Chula's home and is met by a vision of her mother, Taloa. Taloa tells her that she is the embodiment of their people's legacy, and that this legacy will echo bum, 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 bum,
Ah, she said it.
actions. The vision ends, revealing Chula's final finished garment. At the Choctaw Powwow Festival, Maya locates Fisk, who has kidnapped Chula and Bonnie, and threatens to kill her entire family for betraying him. Biscuits incapacitates Fisk's men with a monster truck, while Henry kills Zane. Maya shares her Choctaw powers with Chula and Bonnie, who overpower Fisk's men. Using her powers, Maya takes Fisk to the memory of his father beating his mother in an effort to heal his trauma and help him let go of his anger. Returning to reality, an outraged Fisk demands to know what she did to him and leaves the festival before the police arrive. The next day, Maya says goodbye to her family before leaving Tamaha. In mid-credit scene, Fisk watches with interest a news story about the lack of frontrunners in the New York mayoral elections. Season finale. Thoughts?
I like monster trucks.
So he ran over two, was it two trucks full
There's
of,
two like 12 passenger Chevy vans.
yeah, with gun-toting thugs in it.
Yeah.
The goon squad that he ran over top of. Are they still inside, crushed? Are they dead? Are they alive and stuck? That was that was funny. Uh, Henry shooting Zane on top of the truck when he had a
Rocket launcher.
rocket propelled grenade. this
Just
this at
even
least
even then, that was comedic. So he was
yeah.
scoping it out. It's like, huh? Oh,
Mhm. Yeah, so we didn't fall into the typical superhero finale trope of a CGI equal power battle or a trash can floating thing in the sky. So at least we didn't have that. But we did have quite a bit of silliness in this finale, unfortunately. Sharing the powers, sharing the glowing fist. How? Why?
I get Chula having it, but Bonnie was just a friend. Bonnie wasn't
No, Bonnie was our cousin.
okay, so same generate, same family
Yeah,
bloodline.
yeah. So what the hell? I don't think it was explained very well. I'm sorry, it definitely wasn't explained very well. But Taloa had a sister who was also Chula's daughter, and that was Bonnie's mother.
Okay.
So that's why when 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 Chula lost Taloa, I think essentially she had lost another daughter. So that was also why she was so pissed. And then, of course, Maya went to New York So not only did she lose a daughter, she also lost a granddaughter who
Uh,
went away with this guy that she didn't like anyway. So that's you know we had to infer, we had to pull all that.
yeah,
It wasn't given to us. It wasn't explained all that well. We had to pull all that out. So it makes sense. Okay, they're cousins, so they are in still the same bloodline. Um,
which then makes sense why she could have called the ancestors and all of them got powers. It wasn't a Shazam thing where anyone who can hold on to the staff and say Shazam now has powers.
right, right. But at the same time, I think we have to. I mean, the question comes in: how how come they? How come Maya is is special to get the powers and can distribute the powers, whereas Bonnie and Chula can't just have
I
it.
I would argue Chula had it because she was having the visions.
Okay.
Maya got it over Bonnie because she was the one that was in the most danger and the higher risk life. So the ancestors come and help when you're about to die.
Mhm.
Bonnie was an EMT. Bonnie wasn't working for Kingpin. Bonnie wasn't pulling train heists. Like
Yeah, Bonnie need to step her game up. Is that what you're saying?
Bonnie needed to step her game up. Ancestors are only taking on one generation. But then at that time, when at that final fight, all three of the women of that family bloodline needed the power. So Maya called back to awaken the powers and bring more of the ancestors across the generations. That's how I could justify it in my mind of how Bonnie got it because she at the time was in danger. There were a lot of thugs and Kingpin, and it was just the three of them.
Right. And Kingpin did say he was going to kill the whole family if
It's like flat out, you gonna die.
yeah, if she didn't come back to New York. So that makes sense.
That's how I'm justifying it in my mind. And I'm not going to think any further of it because I know I'll find a loophole that'll unravel my entire logic. I'm just not going to pull that thread today.
Okay. So so
You can pull that thread.
what do we think about um Maya's interaction with Kingpin, with taking him back to his childhood, with his dad beating on his mom, unfortunately, and trying to heal that trauma. Did Are we to take that not only was she attempting to heal his trauma, but also heal his eye, so that as we go forward, he doesn't still just have
We
the
don't have to pay for the
scarring.
CGI to cover up the eye.
Right. um, because that's kind of what I got from it when we look back at the beginning of the episode when they helped the woodpecker, and it went from Maya did a real good job of mashing him up with that slingshot. Um, when we go from there to the woodpecker can now fly and is back healthy.
Hmm.
I was thinking that that's what was going to happen with his eye. Instead we got um, taken to his childhood home and got to kind of sort of try to get that aspect of his life out of him. I think he rejected it, and so he's still going to be an asshole. He's still going to be Kingpin that we all know and love, as we do. Um, so he rejected that, and he's still going to go about his way. And now, if we're looking forward to him running for mayor, perhaps we're going to get that storyline that they had in the comics
Yeah.
of Devil's Reign. So that should be interesting.
Who do we think are the other heads?
Now that, my friend, is a great question. If so, I think we were to take that she was the head of the tracksuit mafia. Her and gosh, I can't remember the dude's name from Hawkeye, curly head dude. Well, anyway, um, and then there was whoever the group that Zane was a part
Hmm.
of. So that's two. But I think if we look at
A new
if we're thinking small, then it would be the heads of whoever he was in charge of in the New York area.
the
But if we
gangs of
start to
New
look,
York.
if we what's that?
Gangs of New York.
Yeah, if we start to look out in a grander scheme, perhaps is he talking about 10 Rings? Is he talking about the Power Broker? Um, could be Val. She's the head of something.
She's the head of the CIA.
Yeah, something.
Something. Little something, something.
Yeah, so I mean, hell, it could be the head of the police, right? When we saw him in that one flashback when he went to help her get out of trouble when she, send the motorcycle through the window,
Yeah.
there's always one or two cops that, hey, buddy, get out of here. And then
Now
the other one's like,
walk in here.
whoa, 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 buddy, you know what that is? Chill. So he could also have something to do with the police department. It's the possibilities are endless. The possibilities are out there. We do know that he's going to be in Daredevil Born Again,
Yes.
which you know it's had its own issues that we've gone over on other podcasts. So no need to redo it here, but we do know he'll be back for that. So interesting, interesting to see where all of this goes.
Yeah.
So overall, what kind of a rating would you give this?
As I said at the beginning of this, I had no real expectations going in, so I didn't have anything to base it on.
Mhm.
I really enjoyed the cinematography, the acting, the writing, the character development, the relationships. I enjoyed all of it. Um, Especially the like Daredevil-esque grit to it.
Yeah,
That was really good, good parallels to it. Um, I'd probably give this a solid 8.8, 8.9. Very
that's
high,
exactly where I was going.
very high up there for me. Um, I don't know what could have made it a 10 out of 10. But I know it wasn't.
Yes, we think alike so much. I was thinking the exact same thing. So we had a lot of action in the show that was done very well. The acting was great, and the directing was great in that. The film, the camera work, oh, loved it for the fighting and things like that. I loved how they didn't try to change anything for the benefit of the viewer as far as the ASL is concerned. There was when you communicated with Maya, you had to use it, except for of course when Chris came, but he's a bajillionaire. He can do things like that. But everyone else, had to do it. So I'm glad that they kept with that and they didn't cheat. They didn't cheat for they didn't cheat for Bonnie and Henry and Chula where they would also have a special device or something that could help us out. No, no, they had to be all in with it as well. So I was really big fan of that. The flashbacks were done really well as too. especially the stickball. So I'm a big lacrosse guy. So seeing stickball in that,
Yep.
I was like,
You're from Maryland. Of course you're a big
eh.
lacrosse guy.
I loved it, loved it. Um,
Still not the state sport, by the way.
it's the state team sport. The state sport is jousting.
Yes, it is.
But the team sport is lacrosse. It's the whole thing. It's Maryland. We can't do anything right. We gotta have two different things, you know. But yes, I'm right there with you as far as in the 8.9 realm. And
Mhm.
you're right. There, I don't think, or I can't think of anything that would have said, okay, yes, this is one of the greatest things to ever get on TV. And then the issues that we talked about, with the inconsistency with little things like clothing, inconsistencies with even I think my wife pointed out once that she could tell something was weird with the lashes. She knew something was off with the lashes. I don't know, but she pointed it.
I can honestly say in any of these MCU productions, I have never paid close enough attention to any of the characters' eyelashes.
Yeah. So, um, and then of course the glowy hands. There's always some. Okay, what is it? Just a push thing? Is it? Can you blast through somebody like they did in Secret Invasion? It's always kind of funky when there's just glowing. Does it just give you extra power for a minute? And then one thing I didn't even mention at the end of that last episode where it was the family uh, cookout out back and
It was very
Maya
eminent
just
of the end of She-Hulk.
yes,
Where like she kind of walked in, I'm like, are they gonna have like Daredevil walk in too? Like,
yeah, it was it 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 kind of I'm not even sure that scene needed to be there. It was almost as if that was another reach. Hey, everybody, get back to the set
yeah,
for an hour. Let's shoot this. Let's light it up. Get everybody get dressed. Let's shoot this scene. Maya, you can come in with your helmet. I know that the actress Alakwa Cox. I know that she had a baby last year. So coming in holding the helmet like that, was she pregnant at that point? So they were trying to do the whole hide the baby
had the
bump
baby
thing.
bump. Yeah,
Yeah, so it just seemed a little bit out of place. Um, but again, so those are just again, like we said, those are just some funky things that we're
it's
noticing.
splitting hairs, and we
Yes,
acknowledge that.
yes, yes, yes. So it's some of those funny things that we're seeing in these Marvel properties that are just like, okay,
Yeah,
cool guys.
yeah.
But you pretty much hit the nail on the head. It's the same thing in She-Hulk when Professor Hulk comes in and he's bringing his son and
Oakland, yeah.
yeah. So there's that. But
Now,
8.9, respectable. It's nothing wrong with it. I wouldn't,
yeah,
I'm not definitely. It's definitely a watchable series. It's definitely enjoyable and entertaining. And again, at the end of the day, that's all we really look for when you sit down and fire up the old idiot box.
it's shut up and enjoyable.
Yes. Hashtag that.
Hashtag shut up and enjoy. Hashtag shut up and enjoyable.
That's right.
Yeah. All righty. Well, thank you guys for joining us for another just over an hour long episode. Go us. Woot, woot, woot. Let us know what you guys think about Echo. We are always interested to see what other people think. Comment, like, share, subscribe, I
Yeah,
guess.
do all the things.
Yeah, all the things. What's coming out next that we got to look forward to?
In 2 weeks, I think it's 2 weeks or maybe 3 weeks. We have Madam Web will be coming out.
Oh,
You changed. Your whole face changed when I said that because you said was coming out. You didn't say what we're looking forward to, right?
yeah.
Or both. I think that's the only thing that's coming out.
So in a month we have the Netflix Last Airbender series coming out.
There it is.
We can hit some Percy Jackson too.
Yes, yeah. Oh, I need to watch the last. I think I missed the last two episodes. Let's get down on that.
We can do some Percy Jackson. I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Percy Jackson next week, everyone.
Done.
Oh my god.
Wow,
If I survive till then.
he's choking. See, I said Madam Web, and now he's all choked up.
Yeah, I'm already like vomiting my review for Madam Web. Let's try this again. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for another episode. We're looking forward to seeing you guys next week when we talk about Percy Jackson series on Disney Plus. In the meantime, shoot us some comments as to what you like, what you don't like, and yeah, may the force be with you.
Always.